So it's time to teach you your very first lesson in debate. And it's the first lesson because it's the most important lesson you will learn in all of debate. And that's the lesson of how to embrace confusion. In our activity, we love confusion. We adore it. We seek it out. We genuinely appreciate being confused. Why? Because confusion is the most important part of the learning process. You see, when we don't know something, we're ignorant. Now that sounds like a negative word, and in many contexts it is, but ignorance really just means we don't know something. In fact, it means we don't even know that it exists. Right now, you don't know much about debate. Words like inherency, topicality, and fiat are just meaningless words. And they say ignorance is bliss, and ignorance is bliss because when we don't know something, we can't be confused by it. And most people see confusion as a bad thing, but in debate, we see confusion as a very, very good thing. When we learn something new, we often discover that it disrupts our previous knowledge. It doesn't jive, it doesn't fit in neatly and cleanly with how we see the world. The new knowledge challenges our mindset and forces us to deal with a different reality than the one we knew. We call this feeling cognitive dissonance, which is a fancy way of describing the uncomfortable feeling we get when we thought we understood something, but then discover information that contradicts what we thought we knew. Now, I'm not bashing teenagers when I say this next part, but it's true, so let's put our cards on the table. Being a teenager often means believing that you have the world figured out. By this point in life, you have learned enough to have opinions on just about everything that matters to you. Your belief system seems pretty set in stone, and your opinions feel right and justified. And that's actually a wonderful thing. As we adults, we want you to have strong opinions and beliefs. But every day, something comes along that challenges your beliefs and opinions. And our normal response as teenagers is often to reject the information. And how do we do this? We call it stupid, dumb, pointless, irrelevant, and, well, we can't even. And as teenagers, we have discovered that it is much easier to reject something we don't understand than it is to take the time to understand it or even disprove it. But that's not how adults work. And it's certainly not how good leadership works. Good leaders and smart thinkers know better than to dismiss things that challenge our beliefs. In fact, we seek them out. We want to challenge our beliefs and opinions as a way of testing their strength of our ideas. That's why we have debate. It's also why we have science. In fact, that's why we have confusion over the word forensics, because forensics is defined as submitting knowledge to further scrutiny. And whether that means scrutinizing blood stains like forensic scientists do, or debating the merits of the federal government like you do, it's essentially the same thing, questioning what we know in order to discover the truth. Now, as children, we used to be pretty good critical thinkers. We read and explored and investigated. We loved to learn. We embraced new knowledge, and we were sponges that constantly absorbed new information. And if the new information didn't jive with what we thought we knew, we asked questions. And boy, did we ask questions. But somewhere along the way, we realized that the world is far too complex for us to understand everything. And we had to drop anchor and find safe harbor. The problem is that once we do that, it can be incredibly disruptive to leave that harbor in search of a new knowledge, because that just means a whole lot of getting tossed and turned in the waves of cognitive dissonance. We do this because we prefer the safe harbor of the world we know over the tumultuous and rocky world of that which we don't know. And when we do this, we engage in what's called confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is our habit of rejecting anything that doesn't jive with what we currently believe, while embracing everything that does jive with what we believe. Have you ever met someone who had strong political beliefs, and no matter what you try to tell them, you're wrong and they're right? These folks are great examples of confirmation bias. These are the people who only want their news from one news source, and they are more interested in proving themselves right than discovering what's actually true. They have a bias in favor of new information that confirms their beliefs and against new information that contradicts their beliefs. I don't think I'm out of line for suggesting that people who think this way aren't helpful to a democracy. If our only choice is to accept their mindset or be wrong, how can we possibly discover what's best for our nation? How can we truly know if Obamacare or gun control or gay marriage or progressive taxation is good or bad if we aren't willing to study both sides and truly understand the strengths and weaknesses of both sides of the debate? Now, smart thinkers and good leaders know that we can't just dismiss everything we don't understand as stupid and dumb. We learn that there are valid facts and truths that need to be considered, even if they don't jive with how we see the world. We have to see all sides of an issue, and this, my friends, is called critical thinking. Critical thinking is defined as the ability to understand an issue from all sides, and it's actually a rare trait. Research shows that 40% of high school graduates lack critical thinking skills. These are the folks who believe that their opinions and beliefs are 100% accurate and that any contradictory information is, well, stupid. And a big percentage of people never develop critical thinking skills in their lifetime. For people without critical thinking skills, whether you are 16 or 40, life is stuck somewhere between ignorance and confusion. We learn just enough to form an opinion and then spend the rest of our lives rejecting anything that confuses us or makes us start to question our own opinions. Now, for those who can think critically, life gets a lot better real fast. We see the world in new and amazing ways. We stop trying to see the world in black and white, and we constantly update our knowledge, even if it confuses us at first. We seek out the other side of the story, and we don't assume that we are right every time. We embrace confusion. We want to learn more, and we want to never close the door to learning something new, even if it confuses us. Why? Because ignorance leads to confusion, and confusion leads to understanding. And in our world, understanding something is the most important skill we can have. It's what will allow us to have high-paying careers, the respect and admiration of our friends, and it's what gives us patience and caring and sympathy and justice. When we have the ability to see and understand the world from a variety of perspectives, we possess an incredibly valuable tool that fundamentally improves who we are. It makes us smarter, not just by a little bit, but by entire leaps and bounds. Now, we shouldn't confuse our day-to-day beliefs with our values. Values are the core beliefs that we hold that never change regardless of the circumstance. And values are just as important as critical thinking. So I'm not suggesting that we accept every belief or adopt every opinion. That would be just as bad as rejecting every belief or dismissing every opinion. Instead, we should use our values to guide us toward what is right. So now it's time to return to our original point. I started off telling you in this video to embrace confusion. Then I spent a lot of time talking about what confusion is, what causes it, and how we respond to it. But what I haven't told you yet is how wonderful it feels to move beyond confusion into understanding. You see, we start with ignorance, then we gain some knowledge, and this knowledge confuses us. Some people prefer not to be confused, so they either accept only the knowledge that they like and reject all the knowledge they dislike. But you are a debater, and your goal is to work through the confusion until you understand. And as we said before, understanding feels amazing. So here's an example. Remember back to that time in math class when the teacher introduced that scary new formula with all those weird symbols. At that point, you were ignorant of the new knowledge. You understood math up to that point, but now this new stuff was confusing. No doubt you spent an hour or a day or even a week being confused, and it wasn't fun. You were frustrated, upset, overwhelmed, and ready to give up, but you stuck with it. And then one day, almost out of nowhere, it finally made sense. You finally understood it, and that felt amazing. In fact, it actually felt so amazing that the confusion was totally worth it. And now that you really understand it, it doesn't seem confusing and it doesn't seem scary. It feels fun and rewarding and gives you the tools to conquer the next challenge. More importantly, it gives you confidence that you could move from ignorance to confusion to understanding the next time you get confused. So here we are at the end of the video. It's here that I'll teach you the two actual lessons I need you to learn. First, debate is confusing. And there will be lots of times this year when you are confused, frustrated, and overwhelmed. And when that happens, I need you to not give up. I need you to ask questions, try harder, and see it through. Because when you do understand it, it will feel amazing. And second, I need you to open your eyes and start developing your critical thinking skills. That's why debate requires you to switch sides between rounds. It's good practice to start seeing the world from multiple perspectives. Now, if you've ever heard that debate makes you smarter, it's because debate teaches you to embrace confusion and seek understanding. Not only does this happen within the process of learning about debate, it happens within the process of learning about the topics we debate. Now, I'm asking you to embrace confusion this year. It won't always feel fun, but it's like exercise. You'll feel better afterward, and it's really, really good for you. More importantly, it makes your brain healthy and gives you the mental strength you need to be successful in the world. So good luck, debaters, and be confused.